Please have a seat. So, Mark's gospel begins with prophecy, recalling in only the third verse of the text the words of Isaiah. See, I am sending my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way, the voice of one crying in the wilderness. Prepare the way of the Lord and make his path straight. At the very outset of his telling of the life of Jesus, Mark feels compelled to remind us to listen to the voice of the one crying out in the wilderness, to listen for the courageous, the noisy, the loud-mouthed, the desolate, the outcast, the wanderer, the one wild voice that rises above the hushed expanse and announces the presence of God. Do you hear it? Jesus, having journeyed all over, from the banks of the Jordan, through a treacherous wilderness, to Galilee, Capernaum, across the sea, through the desert, from the tops of mountains to the water's edge, through villages and the crowds that gathered there, to this place, to Jericho, on his way to Jerusalem. In all of those places, Jesus heard it. Heard the voice that called him from one place to another, over land and sea, from body to body. Jesus knew that the voice that called to him, that knew him, that claimed him and named him. Today, we hear a story of a man, Bartimaeus, a blind man, a beggar, cast to the side of the road where many people were gathered, talking about a man who was passing through, Jesus of Nazareth. Can you imagine the scene? The excited murmur rising as the man approached, and people leaned toward one another, sharing the rumors of what they had heard, their voices falling to a whisper as he appeared, moving through them. And then this man, Bartimaeus, sitting at the edge of the road, feeling the bodies moving around him, hearing the excitement, the hurried feet suddenly still, as a hush began to fall around him, knowing who was near, and exclaiming wildly, loudly, yelling above the curious silence, "Hey, I know who you are. Hey, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." I think you can imagine as well as I can what happens next. You might remember this from when you were a kid, sitting in church, wiggling around, making noise, the stern whisper of a parent or an elder, maybe a sibling, sharply saying, "Shut up," digging an elbow into your side, giving you a little shove with their shoulder. Or maybe you've been the shusher. I have, of course, as the eldest and very serious daughter, which seems weird to say now, but it was true then. But then, and now, this shush rises in me, and I try to spread it all around. Yeah, I know who he is. Don't be weird about it. Don't make a big deal. Just act natural. Just be quiet right now. Can you not? But the man knows who he is calling to, and he doesn't care about the crowd, the big shushing majority. He keeps shouting over them, "Hey, I know who you are." And his voice, like the voice that calls out from the wilderness, stops Jesus in his tracks. He knows this voice, just as the voice knows him. Jesus says to the crowd, "Bring him here." And the man comes, throwing off his cloak, presenting himself to the one who he has been waiting for. So I ask you again, do you hear it? The voice? The voice that disrupts you as you're walking through downtown Crossing, minding your own business, as you make your way through the common back to your car, as you walk up the steps of this cathedral, as you pass by the State House on your lunch break, as you hurry past on your way to the train, as you stand swaying on the bus waiting for your stop. Do you hear it? Do you have a little change? Can we get a fair wage? Can you give shelter to the shelterless, to the refugees, the families sleeping right now in South Station? To our friends who gather under bridges and doorways, who curl up on benches that are designed to keep the tired from sleeping. Can you hear it? A voice that says, "Don't shoot," that begs for not another bomb, that pleads for its life over the ominous hum of tanks, of rockets, of drones. I think you can. I think you can because I witness you, each of you, in your own way, pausing to listen. And I hear you too, each of you, in your own way, crying out in prayer, in protest, in song, in loud shouts that rise above the hushing crowd. And I know that there are other times where we don't pause to listen. We don't want to hear it. We can't. It's too much. It's not a good time. Sometimes I hear us giving a stern whisper. It just says, not right now, not right here, not this way. Friends, I know that sometimes that voice crying out from the wilderness is too much to bear. I know that it sometimes seems to ring a bell inside of us that we'd rather not hear, not feel. It resonates, really resonates. The cry we hear from others meets a cry that lives in us, somewhere between our ribs, in the deepest part of ourselves, in the wilderness of our own being. There is a bell that we want to keep from ringing. What is it? What is it about this bell that is so disturbing, so disruptive, that we would rather never hear it? What does your bell sound like? Maybe it's the bell of anger, guilt, fear, shame, a cascade of bells, one worrying the other, one cracked, one clanging, uncontained. Is it a bell so deep and so mysterious that you can't even name it? Do you hear it? Do you feel it? Is it a little ringing right now? If it is, it's all right. And if it isn't, I encourage you to maybe try to let it a little. Let it ring. Let it hum, let it sing, let it breathe, maybe scream if you need to. Let yourself throw off your cloak and reveal it just for a moment. Whatever it is in you that needs healing. Whatever it is in you that cries out. Whatever it is in you that says, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." You gotta name it. And let it be disruptive and loud, unruly, unwieldy, weird, awkward, badly timed, all of that, whatever it is, it's okay. The gospel says it's okay. You can hold it, and you can claim it, and you can hand it over to the one who hears you calling when everything else tells you to quiet down. Don't do it like that. Not right now. Friends, take heart. That sound in your chest is the voice of the one who calls to you. Get up. You can follow him on his way. Amen.